hopefully everyone will figure out that I had to end the other one, which really frustrates me, but it is what it is. Okay, I don't know if anybody's popped in here yet, but I'm having a few technical issues, which is not unusual. There we go. I'll go in here. Okay. Good morning. I'm just waiting for everybody to pop in here because I actually had some technical difficulties with my other live link and now it's not working. So I'm posting the new link, everyone else. So we'll just be patient and give everybody a minute or two to get in here that are coming from other spaces. There we go. This is when it was supposed to start. So hopefully Miss Dory will be able to get in there. All right. Well, you know what? I think I'm just going to get started regardless if anyone pops in here or not, because I need to get cracking here. So all right. Okay, you know what? I recognized that I see your picture and I never can remember what to call you because it says it's Basant, and that's what it looks like to me, but I think I'm pronouncing it the wrong way. I am doing really well, thank you. I'm just getting ready to commence on this this video here. Huh. I'm trying to use my other phone too, and it's not really working too well. So, oh, that's what I needed to do. It was on Signal that I needed to do that. So I'm waiting for a friend of mine to pop in here. And can you guys hear me okay? I don't know if you guys can hear me all right or not, but I tried not to use this phone because the quality of video is better on my other phone. So anyways, if you think you know anybody who might be interested in what I'm going to be sharing here today, go ahead and share the link. You're more than welcome to do that. So I'm glad that you got to make it, Mr. Bassett. Hello, Dory. Can you hear me now? I'm not happy with this camera or the way the lighting is turned out or anything, but none of that really matters. That's all just, you know, it doesn't matter. Let's just put it that way. So it was really frustrating because the way I had it hooked up before was so much better. But nonetheless, I just need somebody to verify in the chat that that they can hear me. You can. Perfect. Good. Thank you. Thank you. That's what's most important, is that you can hear. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm trying to get a hold of Susan too in Signal, just to let her know. Is that right? Yeah, it is. Okay. So where is she? Oh my gosh. That's crazy. There's so many old chats in here that I'm like freaking out in this Signal. It's like the names I'm seeing right now are kind of, wow, kind of giving me like hives a little bit. And I'm sure you know what I mean. Miss Dory. Nope. Okay, so that one's not working. That's why it's not working. It's on my old device. All right, never mind. We'll just leave that be. Okay, good. I'm glad that you can. It appears that you're the only one in here, Miss Dory, so that's fine with me. All right. I didn't reshare the link anywhere else because this happens. I need to just, it's my vanity that got to me. I will fully admit it to you. My other camera setup, it has a much clearer image, and I look better on it. Let's just put it that way. And I preferred it, but this just is going to have to be the way that it is, because I just want to share the content. I know it's silly. Isn't it so funny how we can have so much remembrance of our divinity and still be so frickin' human? Isn't it hilarious? It cracks me up. I don't know about if it cracks you up or not, but it cracks me up. All right, so we're going to get started. And the first thing I'm going to do is just take a real deep breath. I just need to ground myself and center myself for a minute and get closer to the truth of real things. Because I was very, very much, I've been humaning all day. All right, there we go. That's better. Okay. I do not want to continue in that space. I want to continue in the space that I'm in. And I think this one, I've got a recording that I'm going to want to play for you guys, because I recorded my notes, and I was having all these, moments coming in. Okay, good. And I've decided that from now on, when this information comes to me, and I know in my heart that I'm supposed to share it, that I'm going to, let me just turn maybe that way a little bit. I'm going to just get on and make a recording. I won't do it live because I lose so much information in waiting. It's when it comes to me originally. And so I made all the recordings, and they're original in the now moment, in the time that this occurred. And so I'm just going to play the recordings. It's better, but I definitely want to, from now on, I'm just going to make a recording and then pop it on, and I'll have a live chat, because that's all that's supposed to happen. It cracks me up because you're the only one in here, Dory. So anyways, I don't know if I can probably, I don't know if I can get out of here without it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's do it that way. We'll go from there. Okay, because I know it disconnected for a minute, but that's okay, because I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Okay. I'm going to start with my notes, and then at some point in my notes, it notifies me to play the recording, and hopefully we'll be able to hear it okay. I'm going to start first by just sharing what I've been going through for the past 6 months or so. Some people are privy to it, and some people are not. And so I'm just going to share kind of the journey I've been on. It was about, well, let's see, this is the second month of this year. I've been working on gearing myself up to being my authentic self. And I said something about this in the other video, the last video that I made. But I really had been honing in on the beginning of this, calendar year that we all recognize, January 1st, of just getting down to the most authentic version of myself that I can be, because I know it's in that authenticity that I will find who I truly am. Oh, hello. Good to see you. I'm so glad you're in here. Miss Tanya, it's good to see you. I love seeing everybody. Just share it away to anybody who you think might be interested. I was going to start on January 1st, and then I got this really weird thing on the 28th of December, because, sometimes when you set things up for January 1st because it's the first of the year and everybody's like, new year, new me, all that. Something in me said, you know what, I'm just going to do it right now, because I was kind of fed up with myself is what it was. I decided to embark upon a journey to give up the last mask that I wear. And up until January 28th, I was fully immersed in it and fully wearing it and fully operating in this coping mechanism that I developed in childhood. And I have been using it for 40 plus years on a daily basis. It has consumed my life. It is the biggest energy producer outward that anybody sees if they engage me, even though you might not be able to tell. And I knew that I had to let go of it in order to become my most authentic self. So that's what I did. And I decided, I just got up on the 28th and I was so sick of myself and so sick of this energy that was around me wrapped up in this coping mechanism that I didn't wait for the first. I just decided on January 1st. And one of the things that I did, the first thing that I did, and this was just a dietary choice, was to give up sugar entirely. Just give it up, period. And the only forms of sweetness I would allow myself to have is in the form of raw honey and naturally occurring sugar in foods, like fruits and vegetables and things. But no outside sources of sugar of any kind. No processed sugar, period. And I wanted to get back on track with eating grain-free, eating dairy-free, and only healthy oils. Basically just getting that cleaned up just for my body's sake. But on the inside, internally, what I decided to embark upon was removing this mask that I've used my entire life to comfort myself and to quell my anxiety and my fear of even existing on this earth. Because when I was 13 years old, 12 or 13 years old, I developed a great deal of anxiety and fear due to the passing of my father, who was the sun and the moon to me. Some of you might know this story. So it was at that point that I developed a very severe anxiety disorder that led into depression and all kinds of other things going throughout my life. But I developed a coping mechanism in the midst of it. And it was a beautiful coping mechanism, and it did save my life. I'm grateful for the experience of all of it, but it is time for it to no longer be present. I can't be authentically this Shannon 3.0. I used to say 2.0, but I realized I did this once already. 15 years ago, I did this once. It was like a 2.0, and I completely transformed myself. So this is 3.0. This is like, and I love the fact that it's 3, that it's the number 3. This is the final version. This is the, this is it, so to speak. And so to shorten this part up, what I did was I changed the way my relationship with food entirely, because I used food, namely high carbohydrate, heavily sugared foods, to manage my emotional outlook on this planet for 40 plus years, like I said. And I was doing it up until the 28th, actively. Now, many of you who have known me may have never even known that in order for me to keep my mood elevated and to be able to share with you and to be able to have the joy that I had in my life, a large amount of it accompanied the use of food. Like many people use substances in order to elevate their emotions and their mood. And what I used was heavy carbohydrated foods, namely things like, quarts of ice cream, boxes of Ho-Hos, containers of Oreos, things like that, baked goods. I would eat these foods because I discovered at a very young age that I didn't want to crawl into the grave with my father anymore. When I ate these, for a moment, I felt as if I wanted to be here on planet Earth. And it saved me from taking my own self out, which is what I was on the way to do when I was 13 or 14 years old. So, of course, I gained an inordinate amount of weight in that following year. It's 80 pounds that I have gained and lost many times throughout my life. And so I was completely and fully addicted to carbohydrates. Like many of us are addicted to many things. I grappled into a few other things, but I didn't stick with it because it just didn't suit me. Both of my parents were alcoholics, so I didn't go down that road. There was such an aversion to it. So that being said, on the 28th, I decided to embark on this journey that, given the space that I was in and the amount of ascension and consciousness and the inner work that I'd done, I was very excited about revealing this beautiful, person that was not going to be using that as a coping mechanism anymore. The most authentic version of myself, not hiding behind anything any longer. And I had no idea it was going to kick my ass. And for the past not 6 months, it wasn't the 6 months, it's the first 2 months of this year. Anyone who's been close to me and talking with me knows about it, because I was calling them and talking with them and trying to share my heart, because I was overwhelmed and inundated. At first, I didn't really recognize what was happening. I just was like, every anxiety, every depression, every physical sensation from those deep and difficult emotions after my father died rushed right back in their fullness. And I haven't experienced this in that level in years. I did not expect for it to feel like it used to feel. I didn't expect for it to overwhelm me the way that it did. I had no expectation of that at all, because I had moved into this new place, so then the experience of it should have been new, right? Oh God, no. It hit me just like I was back when I was 13 years old, and I was facing that moment where I could either go in the grave with my father, or I could just go into a padded room somewhere, because I figured that was the only options. I remember this. And for a few weeks, I didn't get my bearings. I suffered greatly in the last 8 weeks from massive anxiety. I didn't sleep for days. I had all kinds of things coming to the surface, and I just wasn't managing them. I was completely in the throes of it, as if I had not had an awakened or a remembered cell in my body. It was awful. It felt awful. It was the same horror I felt, I remembered. Fortunately, we are dealing with beloveds all around us that are here to assist us. And I had assistance. I just wasn't really aware of it. And slowly but surely, I started to realize, oh, this is all coming back to me in full force, exactly the way it did back when I was 13 or 14 years old. But now I have the choice to make a divine response versus an egoic reaction, which is what happened when I was a child. I had no understanding. I just reacted to the way I was feeling, and it felt for years, it's literally felt like a living hell. And any of you who suffer from anxiety, depression, autoimmune disorders, all these things, which are everyone who's being drawn to this will be understanding of how that feels. I was back in that place just a few weeks ago. I mean, I came close to not being able to do my job. But what I did in the process of it is I opened this entirely up and decided I'm not hiding anything from anyone. I'm just going to allow this to be what it is for me and for everyone else. And I literally just opened up to my boss and told her what I was going through. Made me love her even more. Her openness, her kindness, her acceptance of me in this blubbering state of retardedness. I literally didn't sleep for days, and I had just gotten over that RSV flu stuff that's going around. So I got really, really sick, and that's kind of what spurred it. I couldn't breathe, and then I was really sick, and then all this anxiety came. It was just a nightmare. Let's just put it that way. So that's where I've been. And then through that, the remembrance came up in me and said, now it's here, and instead of using the coping mechanism that you just let go of, that mask is gone. You're your authentic self. And you expected that this would be easy, but it's not going to be. But it is going to be quick once you apply what you've remembered. And that's exactly what occurred. As soon as I got enough bearings within me to be able to make that decision, everything turned around. And that's why I'm here. That's what I'm going to share as some information. Didn't come from that. It's just recent. But it's a part of that. So I just wanted to open up and share that with you and be completely naked about it. It's absolutely beautiful. It's nothing, none of us should ever feel as if we have to cover any of this up. It is all part of what we came here to do, which by the end of this recording, hopefully that will be the case. Now, my motel is open. I am at work, so we may be interrupted. If that's the case, I will simply just leave the live running, and I will go and take care of what I have to, and then I'll come back. It will be kind of irritating if it occurs. What I'm really hoping is that it doesn't, that I can get through this. So that's where I was at. And I had to face that very thing that I faced as a child that I took the coping mechanism on that saved my life, where it no longer serves me. So I had to face this without any of that, with only my remembrance thus far of my divinity. And at first it was very daunting, but I will tell you that the energies that are present right now, if you choose to do this, are quick and hard and fast, and they come in with such power. It's amazing. I couldn't believe how quickly this whole thing turned around. And now I'm in a space where I'm, especially after today, and I have a friend that's watching this that knows that I had some seriously massive confirmations today of some things that are deep and profound truths for my journey that were confirmed today by the universe in such clarity that I can't deny them. It's nothing I'm supposed to speak about, not that part. That's just for me to embody and to be. So I'm in a really amazing energetic space right now that is so different than 6 weeks ago. I mean, night and day difference. And some of this information I'm going to share with you is part of the reason why. So if you've been drawn to this information, the autoimmune disorders, the anxiety, depression, the using substances to emotionally elevate yourself because you just can't seem to do this earth thing, no matter how hard you try, you're just overwhelmed in your body, in your emotions, in your brain, and yet you're still understanding and having remembrance of your divinity, and you're walking the spiritual journey, then you will relate to this because you wouldn't be here otherwise. All right, and I might have to turn a light on. It's starting to get a little bit dark in here. I don't want to turn the overhead light on because it's really, really brash, and it's hard for me to see in the camera, and it doesn't look very good. So let me open this curtain real quick, and maybe that'll give us a little bit of light. It is staying lighter longer, which is lovely. I'm so grateful. Hello, Miss Silverwings. Good to see you. Glad to see you. It says there's only one person in here at this point, but I think that ticker isn't always accurate. Okay, so that's a little bit of what I've been through in the last 6 to 8 weeks. I'll tell you, I had some moments, guys. I didn't know if I was going to come back. It was every bit as powerful as it was when it nearly took me out when I was 14. Man, some serious alchemy happened, but what I can tell you where I'm sitting right now is I'm still fully on track. I've completely changed my relationship with food. I will never, oh good, I'm glad. Yeah, see, it's got to be wrong because I know that it doesn't make any sense. Thank you for clarifying that for me, Tanya. I know that doesn't matter anyway. If there's nobody here, it doesn't matter. None of this is about that. What is this is about is getting this energy into that 0 point ether space. It's all that I care about at this point. I don't really care about what happens to it in our physical manifest world. I mean, I do care about it, but you know what I mean. Okay, so that's a little bit of what I went through. Very hard, but it turned itself over, thank you for the hearts, very quickly. All right, so I was just swimming along. That's what I said, doing great. Okay, and I have been doing great. I turned that around. I was on the cusp of actually going to a therapist and get medicated for my anxiety. It was that bad. Literally, in the state that I'm in right now, where I hold myself to be a relatively lightened individual, and I was going for medication because I was in that much of the depths. It was in that moment that my story sent me some beautiful little things that happened that you couldn't make up to kind of get my attention, and then I realized, wait a minute, I have remembrance here. And then I moved forward and everything turned around quite quickly. Well, I was doing really well. Okay, so I once again was in a space where I felt like, okay, I get it. I know what I'm supposed to do. And this is working and it's beautiful and wonderful. So I was very excited to have my old energy back, to be in that space. Plus, I'm completely removed of the last thing that's going to keep me from being my authentic self as much as I can be in this now moment. No masks. Now what you see is 100% what you get, and what I experience in my kingdom and the things I allow for myself are 100% on board with what's in the outer. They match. There is no longer any coping mechanisms that I'm using in any way, shape, or form. So this is as naked as I've ever been, and I was so elated to finally be in a place where I'm truly, authentically myself. I thought, here we go, right? Woohoo! It's all go from here. So I'm swinging along doing great. One day, I decided to eat some food unconsciously. I was just not being conscious of what I was doing because I figured divinity is limitless. Why would I even need to be concerned about it? I'm this limitless divine being. I felt so excited about that truth because it is the truth. And that's why I'm here right now, is to share something that might help you to connect. I know it did me. It just, oh, I can't even tell you. And before I get going too far, I would like to give a shout out to Emerald Sage on TikTok. If you are on TikTok and you are not following her yet, whoa, did you hear that? That was the fire department and the paramedics and the fire department, our local fire department. They honk every time they go by the motel to let me know that they came back safe and to let me know when they're going out on a call, because I constantly send them good energy and good vibrations, and they love me and I love them. So super cute, right? I mean, who doesn't love that? That's who that was. But anyways, now I got off track. I saw something sparkly. Focus, Shannon. So anyways, I'm going along swimmingly in this beautiful state of being. I know, isn't it cute? I just love it. I love the love that I have been very, very much cultivating in this town for 3 years. And I can tell you right now, it has a lot to do with what I'm sharing with you, this beautiful thing that we're capable of, being the divine appointments that we are. So everything was good, and I kind of got myself in this, hippy-dippy la-la land, I can pretty much do whatever because I felt so good and so free, which is true. It's the truth. So there's this little tiny area, which I just discovered, but only for us divergents, us Avengers, those of us that have done something specific. And I've got a little visual aid I'm going to show you to help you with I know, firemen, right? Of course, duh. I'm still the same girl, Tanya, I'm not going to pass on firemen. Who would, right? Anyways, quit distracting me, woman. It's too easy for me to see sparkly things. Anyway, so here I am just floating along, right? Doing really well. And I think I finally, how you finally reach something and you think you've just hit a place where you can coast for a little while? I just thought that already. That got thrown out the door. Then I'm back in this place where I can think I can coast. So what I did is in one day I consumed 3 things, and all 3 things, these things, I had something, and I won't tell you what they are because it doesn't matter. I just was doing it without being conscious of what I was doing with my body, which I'm a divine goddess, and I'm in this place where I've had this remembrance. It's really not that big of a deal, right? Right? Well, that's when this whole paradigm came into play for me and for you, if you resonate with any of this. And it's really important information, and it goes against spiritual trends, and it's gonna, it's gonna ruffle people's feathers, and I don't give a shit because I know it's the truth for me. And if it's the truth for you, hopefully it will help you. It will help you. So I did that. 3 different things in one day. Didn't think anything of it at all. Went to bed that night and shboom, panic attack. Out of nowhere. And I'd been doing so well. I just have everything on board, right? So I got stricken with this anxiety. Well, I knew what to do with it. I've been working with the whole, this whole process of what to do with it when it happens in my divinity. I did that and I was successful, but the residual energy was there. I woke up the next day feeling it, and it was like, I was knocked down by it because I'm like, I don't understand all this divine truth, and what's going on? And I'm still wrestling with untying the knots from autoimmune disorder. I have physical ailments that are occurring right now as we speak, things that I'm wrestling with, and I still get hit with these overwhelming sensations and feelings. I feel and see everything, which I know you can all relate to this. So I got up that morning and I was just downed by it. I was like, I didn't understand. So what I did is I went into the ether and I asked my question, and I just said, I don't understand, but I know there's something in this. It always happens for me, not to me. So my beloveds, please assist me in seeing the truth. And this is what happened. And I'm going to read my notes from there, okay? I turned on TikTok, and that's where Emerald Sage comes in. I don't even know her real name, but I sent her a little video clip of something, and I also let her know that I was tagging her in the things that I was doing because I just want her to know how much her input is meant to me. And she actually responded back to me, and she watched the video that I sent her, and she's like, oh my God, she goes, thank you for sending this to me. It was so amazing. It's so good to hear this. And I said, that's what I thought. So anyways, it was because of something she said. She is a massively neurodivergent Avenger. She understands that we're here in a specific kind of a capacity, and she gives lots of beautiful, uplifting truths about this. So if you're relating to any of this, I highly recommend that you follow her on TikTok. I just love her. I could just eat her. She's like one of those chubby little babies to me. I don't mean any offense by that, but I just love her. I am so in love with her just instantly. It's just one of those things, right? So anyways, I'm watching her TikTok and she said this thing and it was, wait a minute, whoa, what? So profound. She said that, and this is where we were going to begin to go against spiritual understandings and paradigms, okay? So I'm first going to give you just a little word picture. It's not even going to be a word picture. It's going to be a visual picture, okay? So what this actually is a glass bowl full of cotton balls, okay? That's what this is. But I want you to imagine that this is origin. This is prime principle creation, God, source, the one that we all are, the ocean before it developed waves, okay? So I want you to imagine that that's what this is, okay? So there's that little visual. And then I got these little jars at the dollar store. I don't know if I'm going to return them after I'm done or actually keep them. I don't know if I'll find any use. So these are little clear jars. These represent our avatars, our bodies that we choose to incarnate with, okay? So I got 3 of them to give you kind of a as clear of an example as I can. And I think I'm going to have to turn some light on in here. I don't know. It maybe get too dark for this. I want you guys to be able to see it. Because this is the visual that I saw. Now, it wasn't cotton balls in jars, but what I saw, this is a really good physical representation. So I'm going to open these up real quick so I don't wrestle around with them. Okay, so what she proposed, and I totally resonated, and it's 100% the truth for me. For me, this is 100% bang on. It was a remembrance that she brought to me that I was involved in, writing that same information that she received. It came from me and was received by me. It was that profound when she said it. Okay, so once again, we got our bowl. This is origin, principal creator, source, God, that which we are, all waves, the ocean, whatever makes you understand what I'm saying with this, okay? We all come in to this earth story, all of us, on purpose. We choose what we're going to do before we come, and we pick our mission, if you want to call it that, okay? So, and we all have aspect in us, right? So what I'm going to start with is 1 cotton ball. There, okay. So now there's source, right? Now this was the understanding that I had before this came to me. So here's another individual, beautiful, different colored lids. This one's yellow, the other one was blue. And there's the source. We all are exactly the same beautiful divine source, right? So here we have all 3 of our beautiful individuals, which if I had a tech-savvy situation set up, I could put the camera down and you could see me doing this without me holding it up. I don't got that, so I'm going to do the best I can. So that's the way that I've always seen it, is that we're all equal, right? We're all equal. We're all of equal value, which is the truth. We've all come from the same source. There's no separation between us. We're all this, right? Now walking around with little pieces of that in each one of us, right? All right, so this is where we're going to split hairs. You take this right here, and this is your, let's just say your average incarnate aspect of source. Right here, okay? And so you can see source right there, and then this is the avatar. Now if I close this up real quick, you see how that cotton ball has all kinds of wiggle room, doesn't it? Well, what she proposed, and it's totally accurate, it's 100% truth. I could have spoken it myself had I articulated it, but I did not. It was given to me in remembrance by her. If you resonate with any of the things I've shared with you, and right at 33 minutes and 33 seconds, boom, love it. If you resonate with any of the things that I've shared, and you are in this place where you have a large amount of remembrance of your divinity, you're doing all the inner shadow work, you're on board for this conscious elevation that the entire planet is going through, and yet you are still finding that you are suffering in your body and suffering in your emotions and suffering in your thoughts and being just, it feels like being dragged down when all the truths around you are saying that you should be able to manage being above that. Then this is for you, because everyone doesn't come in to this story like that. Most do. So let's take spiritual trendiness. I'm going to leave this yellow person as this. Spiritual trendiness. Bliss, chasing your joy, spiritualizing yourself out of the human condition. This very trendy thing that's going on right now. Spiritualizing everything and saying, oh, well, I'm so sorry that you're going through that physical ailment. It's just because you don't remember enough of your divinity. If you had more remembrance of your divinity and you've done all your shadow work, you would be just, look at all that wiggle room. You could meditate and you could chase your bliss. And as long as you do these things, you will just have this beautiful experience. And it's only because you haven't gotten there just yet, or you haven't followed the practice that I'm putting forward for you. You know about the spiritual trends. I don't have to go into them. So that I'm going to close this because this is Joe Schmo number 1, and let's say I think I'll go with the blue one. This is Joe Schmo number 2, my examples of incarnate humans, and this is the divinity that's in them. So you know what? They can spiritualize everything. These beautiful individuals who are just as valuable as you and I are, if you relate to this whole divergent existence, if you feel everything, if your spidey sense is on 24/7, if you are connected to all things that make you look like a crazy person, if you feel, see, and hear things before other people do, if you have these apparent superpowers, but you're just a fucking clusterfuck, a big mess, to look at you. I mean, if you've got all these things going on, this next circumstance is probably you. Okay, so imagine that here comes the divergent one. The one who decides before incarnation that they're not going to come with just an aspect of their soul. They're going to come with okay, I'm getting massive chills because this is how I saw it, but it wasn't with cotton balls. It was something not that I could explain necessarily. But you decided to come, chills from head to toe, my loves. You decided to come into this incarnation with the largest amount of aspects of your total soul that you could squeeze into this human body without exploding it. Because you knew that there had to be those individuals to sign up to come and bring this level of divinity to the game. And I'm going to cram them suckers in there in order to provide a specific service for the collective, for the all, for the one that we all are. Okay? So here's Joe Schmo, average human incarnate. Here's a divergent. How much wiggle room? Oh, and see, and this is another thing. And see, the top just popped right off. And that's completely perfect, because sometimes I feel like my top's just going to pop right off too. I'll keep those kind of further away from each other so they don't do that. But look at how much wiggle room do you have as a divergent, as opposed to someone who chose to incarnate with only the typical kind of amount of individuated spark within them, which is most of the population. Look at how much room that individual has to say, oh, I meditate. I wear, a sarong and a bikini on the beach, and all I do is imagine and manifest my life, and it seems to be working for them. They're in this place where they can spiritualize everything. Oh, well, that's just because you don't meditate enough. You're over here, anxiety, depression, autoimmune disorders. Everything is like totally overwhelming to you all the time. But yet you are doing the same work that this beloved is doing. And yet look at all the freedom and the wiggle room they have. You, my love, are different in the amount of soul that you chose to cram into this body. You chose to cram as much of your divinity, as much of your aspect as you could for the power of it in this body. And that leaves us to the next thing I'm going to share. And that is that you don't have as much room to move around. You don't have the wiggle room that other people do. Okay? You have a different amount of your actual soul in your body than other people do. And once again, and there's going to be a lot of people that might see this and get themselves in an uproar. It has nothing to do with value. Namaste, my loves. The divinity in me sees all the divinity in all the aspects. But when she shared this, I knew it was the truth, and it totally made me understand. All in one download, all of this I'm about to share you, it was instantaneous. I saw the big circle of this truth and went, oh, because see, the spiritualized teaching and the trendiness is saying that if you know how to access your divinity, you don't have to be concerned about what you eat or what you do. You shouldn't have stress, because when you have the proper perspective of your I am presence, all those things should melt away and you should be in peace and in bliss. Yeah, if you're this guy, that's true. It works. But when you're this one, we are different. We have to manage this differently, and it's not going to fit into the spiritual trends. It's going to be the opposite of what everyone else is doing. Not negating that any of those things are wrong or right, bad or good. because they're not. And I can see that I probably need to turn the light on. I don't know how it's going to change things, but let me just take the phone with me, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this light on. It may make it look really crappy, but I don't care. We're just going to, that overhead light is just the yuckiest as far as the way that it looks. But I don't, like I said, I don't care. Yeah, it's going to be like, see, it looks a little weird, but I don't care. I'm not worried about it, okay? So this is us. We have crammed as much possible divine power into this avatar. And I think it's in different gradients with each divergent. I know that I feel very much so that I've crammed so much in that if I were to cram any more in, this body would explode. I would explode. Hence the reason why I struggle with what I struggle with. But I knew that there was a reason why I did that before I signed up for this, for my puzzle piece, for my thread in the tapestry, as you may consider for yourself. Different amounts of soul aspect in each body. What you do with your body, if you relate to this, I'm stuffed, yes. What you do, now see, this is the part that's hard, because see, I figured I could spiritualize and divine my way out of having to be concerned with the fact that I was doing things to my body and allowing things into my life. I thought that I would be able to bypass that. And the thing is there is truth in that. The typical non-neurodivergent person, the neurotypical person, can actually create that peace and that joy pretty easily by spiritualizing. But see, it was the badasses who came down and understood that was going to happen. Do you think that, see, that's not the whole story there. You can spiritualize, but it's just, and I'll say this in my recordings and I'll say it again, it's just the same turd being painted another color. Spiritualism has become, it's the same turd, it's just been painted a different color. And it is a trap, and it makes you believe certain things to keep you in the hamster wheel instead of being on the infinity track. Okay? So, what you do with your body can make this large deposit journey far much more comfortable. So if you are suffering from autoimmune disorders and pain in your body and anxiety and depression, and if you find you can't get through this life without using a substance to cope, first of all, I love you, love yourself in that. I'm grateful that you've had those coping mechanisms all along because it saved your life. Yeah, it's absolutely, there's a lot of labeling involved in that. None of this is labeling either. It's just, we have to remember too that we use words to communicate with each other. So, that being said, this is the part where it's not going to be so fun, and a lot of people might wiggle under this, and that's okay. But I can actually say I've gone before, and I'm doing it. I've literally removed my addiction from myself. I no longer use food to elevate myself. If I feel lonely, sad, depressed, anxious, any of those things, I don't turn to the coping mechanism anymore. I go within with it. And I will talk further about that whole process. But there's no longer that anymore in my life. There is nothing in my life that I'm utilizing in the outer to cope with what's going on anymore. It's all been removed out of the way. But on the other hand, there are things that we need to do for our bodies and with our boundaries in order to make this choice, this path that we chose, more comfortable. And it's not going to look the same as everybody else. We don't get to run around on the beach in our bikini and a sarong in our bliss. Sorry, guys, that's not going to work. It works for these guys. God love them. I'm grateful. I'm glad that it works for them. It's not going to work for this one because there are things we have to do in the earth character, in the physical 3D. We have to do them in order to make ourselves comfortable enough in this stuffed body to do what we came here to do, which is to alchemize the heavy, deep shit. Okay? And this is the whole dessert dish thing. This ties into that. But this is the new now moment. This is the new now me going back through that old energy and encountering it and responding to it in my new now divinity, which completely changes everything. Even if that old energy comes back to you feeling exactly the same, you're not the same. And that's exactly what just occurred. I just alchemized 40 years, and I'm still doing it. Believe me, it's not gone. I've alchemized 40 years of severe anxiety and depression and, eating disorder. I'm alchemizing that on a daily basis. And guaranteed, it is affecting the entire metaverse, the universe, all of the collective, because there is no separation. That's what I signed up for, and you most likely signed up for something that powerful as well. Okay, see, we dishes cannot spiritualize this condition away, and we don't want to. Now, see, this is going to lead to me sharing with you something that I went down the road for before I stopped. I told you that I was getting ready to see a therapist and to get on actual anxiety medication because it was overwhelming, and I thought, I can't do my job. I'm going to lose my house. I'm going to lose, I can't function in life with this on me all the time. I'm not going to be able to function. What the hell do I do? So we cannot go down normal routes to relieve ourselves of this condition, because what happens is the condition that we're in is attached to our superpower. It's the other edge of the sword. If you remove this side, you remove the other side as well, and then you are no longer who you came here to be. As a matter of fact, I think it's really impossible. I think you just go bananas and end up probably, and I hate to say it, but you'd end up in a padded room or taking yourself out of the story is what you would do, because you can't go down that road. And so what I was attempting to do while I was trying to help myself with this overwhelming anxiety was I was doing hypnotherapy. I was doing tapping. I was getting in touch with a therapist. I was doing all these things in the outer, trying to fix my diet, watch what I was eating, take the right supplements. I was doing all of these things to try to get this feeling I was experiencing to stop, because I didn't want it to be there. It's not comfortable. When Spirit came to me and had a conversation with me, that you can't do that. Everything out there says, do this in order to feel bliss as opposed to feeling pain and suffering, because that's your divine right, which is true. But we didn't sign up to access those divine rights. We came to make sure that it's accessible for all of the beloveds by our power of alchemy through it. So, we can't spiritualize it away, we can't medicate it away, we can't addiction it away. We need to face it, love it, accept it, and alchemize it. That's what the next phase is for. Okay, so we have less wiggle room in our jars. Some with more room can get away with all these things and actually produce a blissful outcome. Not us. It's why we came. It's the both and that's the confirmation I had this morning. And both and is so much bigger than even I realized what it was. And I can't believe it. I had contacted Dory and talked to her about it, because I just wanted to share it really quick because it was such a confirmation. But the both and, we just need to remember to always only get caught up in the and, not the both. The human part, don't get caught up in it. You can always get caught up in the and that's your divine part. We can always get caught up in that, because that's only going to lift us up and out. Humans are made to experience fear and depression and anxiety and all the things, even the joy and the love and the peace. It's not going to go away. And there are many people spiritualizing it away and walking through their day saying that they no longer encounter those things. And if they do, they spiritualize it away. They run away from a relationship. They say, you no longer serve me. They remove themselves from it. They're still running. They just aren't aware of it. And hence the reason why the Avengers are here, to carry that heavy weight and to alchemize it. And if you're suffering from these outside external circumstances, it's most likely because there's some things you need to do, and it's not trendy and it isn't spiritual. It looks like you don't trust, but it is totally not the way that it looks. As neurodivergents, we are hypersensitive to all experiences. Well, I can't read my own writing. I hate that. We are close to be... Okay, we need to be close to these energies and to feel them so intensely with our power in order to alchemize them. Humans used to have to focus on getting eaten by a lion. So we have this fight or flight thing that happens in our lower body. We used to have to be concerned that we were going to be eaten or destroyed by the things around us. It's not so much the case anymore, but that same energy, wonderful silver wings, that's the best way to do it. Face it head on and use your divinity to accept it, love it, and that is the alchemy, giving it acceptance, letting everything we've created come back home. Not everyone is signed up to be capable of that. That's what you and I signed up for, if any of this resonates. I know for a fact that I'm right where I'm supposed to be for myself. And I'm only sharing this in the hopes that at some point it will, maybe uphold the beloveds. And it was also Emerald Sage who encouraged anyone who is in this space to stop being a follower. You were never intended to be a follow. Do not follow spiritual trends. You get out there and be you, the very you that you know yourself to be, even if it goes against everything. And what I'm doing goes against everything. I've lost beautiful relationships over it. I've had people leave my presence and not understand me over it, and it's probably going to continue. And I'm okay with that, okay? So we don't have that anymore, yet the response has been ego-programmed. It's been taken over rather than just to be afraid of what's really happening outside, because we don't have those experiences as humans on a daily basis anymore. The little ego mind has programmed us to keep us still and in any way to be out of the now moment. It is actually, it's like its own little AI. It has taken over and decided it wants to remain. And by doing that, if it can keep us from this now moment, by keeping us in fear of the future or in worry over and distress over the past and sadness, keeps us out of this now moment. So no longer are we being eaten by lions, but that energy decided to utilize itself to keep us out of the now moment. Okay. Okay, so this is for neurodivergent people, and I am a divergence. Did you guys see the movie Hunger Games? If you haven't, I highly recommend you watch it, because out of all the 5 types of people that were separated into groups so they could live harmoniously, the divergents were the only ones that were dangerous. Okay? Remember that. Okay. If we try to desensitize ourselves with anything, including some things you're not going to be happy about hearing. Mine was sugar, food substance, food abuse, food addiction, marijuana, smoking, vaping, drinking. These things cannot be part of your journey because they're masking something that you need to feel in order to alchemize it. And I know that sucks to hear that, but that's the truth that I've encountered. And it is the truth for the divergent ones. We can no longer use anything to mask anything we feel. We must let go of those masks and be brave enough to face it and let it in head on and use our remembrance to alchemize it. And I can tell you from experience that it happens like that, and it's powerful, and it's amazing, and it's incredible. So that's been my experience, and that's all I can do is share my experience. I can't do anything other than that. So if we try to desensitize ourselves as a way of healing, that is in the essence removing the very power we chose to embody, it is not for us. That's for others. And they can do that, and it will work for them. But it's not for us. What we put in our bodies, the boundaries that we have or don't have, can increase or decrease the caveability into anxiety, depression, and autoimmune issues that we have. Trying to escape or relieve this experience at this point in the game takes away from the superpower, because they're the same thing. You cannot take away your ability to feel these things in any way, shape, or form. So we have to let go of all these external things in the outer that we've clung to that saved us, and they're beautiful, and they were a wonderful chapter. But in this now moment, there's no place for them if you want to further on the journey that you chose for yourself. I know I do, so I laid them all down, and I can tell you it was fucking hell. And sometimes it's going to come back and be that again. I'm remembering what to do with it when it occurs. But it was scary. It was awful. I almost didn't make it. It didn't feel like I was going to make it. I felt just like I did when I was 14. I wanted to crawl in the grave and die. That's what was being proposed to me. But then I remembered, wait a minute. I'm the new now. I'm in the now moment. That little child, I've taken her by the hand and brought her with me. She's right here. And we both have got this under control. I no longer need to react to this. I'm going to respond with my divinity. And when I did that, it just kept going and kept going, snowball effect. And the alchemy that's been presented, I can tell you, I can feel it. It's profound. Okay, I tried the unlimited shoe on. If I'm unlimited, I don't have to watch what I do. I don't have to do any of those things. I can let go and be free. I can embrace all the things in the outer. No need for any hyper-vigilant self-care. I can eat whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. I can do all these things because I know who I am. Late hours, I'm unlimited, but I crashed and burned, and I crashed and burned hard. Okay, so what does it say? The spiritual says both and are out of balance. You get easily out of balance. Now, see, this is something that's specific to our types. Remember, we've got no wiggle room. So if you want to be more comfortable in this avatar that you're embodying with so much source power, so much of your soul, so much more than so many other people, parts of your soul are embodied. Sometimes I think all of source is within this body. Sometimes I get such clarity that I'd swear that the only thing that makes sense is that, and that was part of this beautiful thing that I had this morning. I was in the ether last night talking to my beloved and asking questions, and the answers I got today they just blew my mind. So, that being said, okay, so me and my powerful belief, which I've shared this with you before, I'm two things in this human character. I'm 100% belief, that's why my name is I Believe. I have the capacity to believe that's enough for probably 150,000 people. My belief is just, it does not waver. It can't, it won't, there's nothing I can do about it. I get up in the morning, it doesn't matter what happens. I believe, I'm there. And the other thing is I'm an engineer. I will always find the way out of a difficult and uncomfortable circumstance. I will always find a way to make it more efficient and better and more comfortable every single time. Those two things put together didn't solve anything for me. I was discouraged and anxious and again very disappointed. Okay, so now it says to play the audio, so let's see if that's going to work. And hopefully this won't be too redundant, but I'm going to listen to it too because I haven't heard my own points back to myself. So it might be kind of cool. Let me make sure this is on. Oh, no, I don't need to, no, that's the wrong thing. Give me a minute, guys. Bear with me. I love you and I'm grateful for your patience. I'm going to try to, am I on audio? Yes, okay. Oh, it's already there. Perfect. I did set that up ahead of time. Yay! I don't know if this is on though. I'm trying to put it on my speaker. There we go. So that we can play it. So this is the first one. And hopefully you guys will be able to hear it. I'm thinking about lots right now, so I'm just going to have my thoughts out loud and then I'll decipher these into notes later. This is for... I hope I didn't say anything embarrassing because I thought I was just talking to me. Here we go. I'm going to be naked. Okay, because I'm going to be busy doing stuff while I'm thinking about it. I just had the thought about how I went down the journey of the belief system that we're unlimited, which is totally true. We are. We come from an unlimited space. And so I tried that shoe. Can you guys hear it okay? Somebody just in the chat, please let me know if you can hear this audio or not. Because like I said, I'm not very high tech. I'm literally just playing it on this speaker into my microphone. I tried the shoe on of being unlimited. And if we're unlimited, then that means I don't have to watch what I put in my body. I don't have to be so hyper vigilant and careful of everything that I do with my body. I can eat what I want. I can consume what I want. I can do the shrooms. I can use the marijuana. I can have the cake. I can stay up late hours. I can do all these things because I'm unlimited. So I tried that shoe on for a while, and it was fun while I tried it. But I crashed and burned pretty hard and got myself into a physical state that was so hard to deal with that I lost sight of my true self. The both and the and got, out of balance. And so I came to this place, I was discouraged and sad, and I got depressed and anxious again, and I thought, what the hell? This doesn't make any sense to me. I've had such a profound remembrance of who I am, and yet, and I've believed it, see? I remember I told you about being a creature that is just filled with belief. I am that creature. And in doing so, I believed it. So I went down the road of believing that I was limitless and behaving like I did. And I'll admit it, I was in Monument Valley when I was practicing that. And it was awesome. I just kind of unleashed myself. I allowed myself to just do whatever the hell I wanted. And for a season, it seemed fine until I wrecked my body back into a state of, and remember, you need to remember the cotton ball, the cotton
experiment with the jars. You see, you came here with a large portion of your soul shoved into this body because you wanted the power of that large portion of your soul, for alchemy, because you came here to alchemize frequencies that need that kind of power to alchemize them. So in saying that you have that kind of power in your body, which doesn't leave much room for humanity, it doesn't leave much wiggle room for you to be a human being, and in that, you are an unlimited being. That is your source. But in this earth story, you actually have to take care of your body. So when the spiritualism comes along, the spiritual trend that comes along and says that, it's not, you don't have to be so focused on what you do for your body because you're this unlimited being. Just go within, just meditate more. And that meditation and all, it will solve that. There's truth in that. But if you're a neurodivergent, and all that huge portion of soul is stuffed in this body that can hardly contain it, you don't have the wiggle room that a non-neurodivergent, a neurotypical would have. They have all this wiggle room. They can literally get away with that and live their whole life in that whole Zen state in bliss and just do whatever the hell they want. They can smoke the pot. They can eat the sugar. They can, they can cram all the chemicals in their body. They can do all the things, and they can still be at this spiritual awareness level that you can't be if you don't take care of your body. Because you see, they have so much more capacity to stuff all that junk I just talked about in that jar, where they don't have as much soul capacitating that jar. Does that make sense? So we, as divergents who signed up for this ahead of time, realized that we would have to pay close attention to our bodies and limit what we eat and be very careful with what we do and have high boundaries and all the things that seems like all of the focus on the outer, which is not spiritually trendy right now, is it? At all. As a matter of fact, there's so many things that's saying that you need to get rid of that part of your life, and you can do it through meditation. You can change who you are. Well, neurodivergent, beautiful one, I'm telling you right now that if this is you and you're listening to it, no, you don't get to do that, because that's not what you signed up for. You shoved so much soul into your jar that there's not room for that extravagance, if you will. There's not room for that. I'm looking for a word. There's not room for that luxury. If you're a neurodivergent and you're suffering from autoimmune diseases, anxiety, depression, all the things, you do not have the luxury of being spiritually trendy. You just don't. And there's these trends, I believe, are being presented in order to knock the neurodivergent ones off of their track and to have them grappling with themselves, trying to fit some status quo, which is nothing new, right? This is the same old turd painted a different color, like I always say. But you don't get to do that. And see, I've just come to that conclusion because I just had a massive, nasty moment in my life rear its head, and it came from a space of a beautiful awakening, a beautiful level of furtherance in my story. But even though that occurred, I was just sailing. Like I said, I was sailing. I was on it. I had so many answers to things. I had more profound remembrances about who I am and so much peace in my body and health in my body, and my body was rejuvenating itself, and it felt good to feel somewhat quasi-normal in my body again, and I was super excited about it. And in that excitement, I had some unconscious things that I partook in. All in one day, I had a cup of coffee, which was non-caffeinated, but just drinking coffee and having the taste in my mouth still triggers my body into that state of anxious thought patterns because it thinks it's caffeine. And caffeine is just not the divergence friend. It just isn't. So I had, all in one day, I had a full serving of dark chocolate. I had coffee, and I ate a heavy starch rice for dinner later in the evening. Not super late, because I don't ever hardly eat past 5. These are the things that I'm going to share with you on how you can better yourself diet-wise, and you just don't have the luxury of not doing it. You can, You can go down that road, go down it all you want. But I guarantee you, if you are one of these stuffed soul boxes, I don't need to come up with a cliche, some kind of quick term to refer to that. But if you have overstuffed your incarnate body with a portion of soul that is heavier than most, you don't have the luxury of doing that if you want to serve the purpose you came. If you don't, I totally believe it's within your ability to completely change who you are and live in that place of comfort and do the spiritualized, trendy crap if you want to. You totally have that choice. But if you want to fulfill that desire deep within your heart, that you know what I'm talking about, if you are listening to me, that's what you know. If you want to fulfill what you came here to do, you don't get the luxury. You gave up the luxury of being part of this spiritual trendiness that relieves you and puts your life in bliss. Okay, so that being said, the next system of notes will be about what you can do and how you can make yourself more comfortable, but it's a very isolated, much of the time. Yeshua, hello. He spent large periods of time together. He was so neurodivergent that it hurt, man. And I know you know what I mean. I'm so neurodivergent that it hurts. It hurts everything. He was too. But he understood from a very early age, he came with that pre-existent understanding that he needed to care for himself. His whole life was set up to set him apart so that he would have that downtime that he needed to be able to function. He took care of his body in a way so he could function. He was a very beautiful example of being a neurodivergent. And we have to do this, and you have to be alone, and you have to decompress, and you have to keep boundaries up. You can't just let anybody into your life. You can't be this, this spiritual trend of allowing all these things to happen because you're unlimited and you're a beautiful divine soul, and you are all those things. But if you came here as a neurodivergent, you don't have the luxury of partaking in these beautiful and somewhat comfortable spiritual trends. I know this goes against the grain, and there's a lot of people that are going to give me flack for what I'm sharing. But this is the truth that I've come to in my own body. And when I follow these principles and I take care of my body, both my body and my spiritual truth of the I am presence that we all are, every spark, whether that jar is full of cotton or only has a little cotton ball in it, we're still the same spark. They're no better or no worse than we are. We're no better or worse than they are. There's no gradient here. There's no judgment in this. It's just as a soul, we chose this. We pulled that straw and said, yep, I'm going to go down and I'm going to be this body that's packed with so much soul. There's not going to be any wiggle room. You see, we don't have wiggle room, and let me expound upon that in further notes. Okay, I'm thinking about lots right now, so I'm just going to have my thoughts out loud, and then I'll decipher these into notes later. Okay, this next rant to myself, so that I wouldn't forget it, is about 10 minutes long. So, you probably might not be able to hear me. Let me get this close to my mouth. At this point, I just want to throw the disclaimer out there that none of this has anything to do with judgment. None of this has anything to do with saying that anything is better than anything else or worse than anything else. Divergent people came with this much of their soul intact because we can separate into a countless amount of aspects because we are the hologram perfection of source creation. We can do this. We came with this to support and love and offer cloud clearing and alchemy for these beloveds so that they can do this, so that the elevation of Gaia occurs and the consciousness raises for everyone. Some people we needed to pull those straws, and those of us who signed up ahead of time, we chose this, but we don't get to do what everybody else does. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue playing this, and then we'll get down to just probably ending the live. This is for the next level of the dessert dish chapters. I hope I can hear myself okay because I'm going to be busy doing stuff while I'm thinking about it. I just had the thought about how I went down the journey of the belief system that we're unlimited, which is totally true. We are. We come from an unlimited space. And so I tried that shoe on. I tried the shoe on of being unlimited. And if we're unlimited, then that means I don't have to watch what I put in my body. I don't have to be so hyper vigilant and careful of everything that I do with my body. I can eat what I want. I can consume what I want. I can do the shrooms. I can use the marijuana. I can have the cake. I can stay up late hours. I can do all these things because I'm unlimited. So I tried that shoe on for a while, and it was fun while I tried it. But I crashed and burned pretty hard and got myself into a physical state that was so hard to deal with that I lost sight of my true self. The both and the and got, out of balance. And so I came to this place, I was discouraged and sad, and I got depressed and anxious again, and I thought, what the hell? This doesn't... Okay, I'm thinking about lots right now, so you see so many trends and beautiful, well-meaning people that, actually, if they're speaking to the ones that only have one cotton ball in their jar, or two, or three,
I apologize. I started the previous one instead of the one that was next in line, and that's confusing. This one's only 7 minutes, so bear with me. That was a goofy thing to do.
Totally understandable, right? It works for them, and that's great, but it's not going to work for you. I watch people on TikTok constantly with all these formulas on how you can remove this state of being from your life. This hyper-focused, hypersensitive state of being. You can remove that from your life and become like all the other souls that came with less of their soul in their body than you did. And remember that all those souls I'm speaking of, they're not separate from you, they are you. But I just wanted to make that real quick, and I'm going to just pause this so I can finish taking my juice here. You see, this is how bad I am with this. I just got up to put my glass away after finishing taking my fire cider and rinsed my mouth, and now I can't remember what I was talking about. But I did have the thought when I was in the kitchen that I know that I was hyper-focused on my body. I learned that by doing certain things for my body, it did better the outcome of my day. I felt better. And so I got to the point where my beautiful gift of hyper-focus was solely focused on the outer, on the body, and I started just really focusing on it. And something happened, and I had a complete meltdown. And I was confused by that, because I was like, wait a minute, I'm doing all these beautiful things for my body, and, they should have the positive effects that I'm expecting. What is this about? Well, it was just one small little adjustment. Your hyper-focus can be used wherever you choose to use it, and it is a superpower. Mm-hmm. But if it doesn't start from the place where it originated as your primary focus, all the other focuses will fail, because your primary focus is the kingdom within. Where do you think your body came from in the first place? It came from within you. You are coalescing it as we speak to each other right now.
Yes.
So the idea is to remember the both and. You are both human and a divine, limitless being. So in that understanding, you have to start with the divine, limitless being and focus there. That's where your meditation comes in. That's where that 10 or 15 minutes in the morning and that 10 or 15 minutes in the night, which is all I do, to get focused and recentered on where your origin is, which is within you. And then the rest of it, hyper-focus.
Which is something that the spiritual trendiness in the community is, they're promoting it. Everyone's promoting that. And there's nothing, there's truth in it, and it's beautiful. And it is a wonderful thing to do. But we as divergents need to remember that even though it is important that we have boundaries, it is important that we really focus on taking care of our bodies and limiting our exposure to energies and giving ourselves lots of downtimes and all these things. You'll know personally what it is for you that you need to do, and no longer using any substances to cope with our experience of this world. Learning, not learning, but walking in paths where our divinity alchemizes that, accepts it, loves it, gives it a place to be back, fully integrated back into Holy Self. You see, we are massively packed integrators. Everything is a creation of divinity, everything, regardless of what the human beings judge it as. Every single energy that's in creation and has manifested into physical tangibility is a creation of the divine. And so much of it has been negated and resisted and pushed against, like negative emotions, bad feelings, murder, all the things that we would judge as human beings. We are integrators, giving space. We have the power. It takes this kind of power to do that. It takes this kind of soul power to do that. And we chose to come with more of our soul self in this incarnate body so that we would have the power to embrace all of those dark characteristics of the creation and embrace them, love it, and give it a place to come back home to and to be fully integrated. And when we do that, it instantly alchemizes it back into the frequency of the 0 point, the ocean, source creator, principal creator, whatever you want to call it, into that basic creator energy that is neither good nor bad, it's not polarized anymore. And so it takes powerful beings to do that. So that's why the focus here is so important. But yet at the same time, we cannot negate what we do with this avatar, which is the important thing that is very different than anyone else, because most people are finding that this is what the spiritual trend is saying. And it's true. There's truth in it. It's absolutely true. That's the hard part, is that through meditation and getting into a cohesive brain pattern with your body and in reaching into that 0 point ether, you can completely change the outer, and you will relieve yourself of all these ailments and things that are going on in your life. That is the truth. But for the average aspected soul individual, this has a profound effect, and it can actually stand in that place. But you and I came, if you're divergent, we didn't allow ourselves the luxury to actually partake in this while we're here. We don't get to partake in this. It's being created by us. We're like, I don't know if I said this in the recording or not, but I had this vision this morning about the cornerstone or the foundation in a building. Okay, everything that gets built. Oh, there goes. I'll go ahead and keep playing this for you because there went my chime. I have to go to work. I'll be back.
Focus on your body all you want. The more you can fine-tune your life to adjust your body to the place where you feel more comfortable, the more freedom you'll feel in your human self to be a badass, the badass that you came to be. So you cannot buy into the spiritualism of, just find your bliss and everything will be okay. Because that doesn't work for neurodivergence. It does not. The divergence, it doesn't work for. Did you ever see the movie Hunger Games? They talk about this. They completely depict that there's this small group of people that are dangerous. They're dangerous, and we need to single them out and find them and try to get them to commit to the status quo, which now has become spiritual trendiness, which is great. I'd much rather have spiritual trendiness than the prior program that's been running, the patriarchal squashed bug, syndrome. It's definitely a better paradigm, but you can't follow with that. You are not here to do the same things everyone else does. So I really just came upon this morning, the 22nd of February, after working really, really hard to not focus on the outer at all. But see, the thing is we have a tendency as neurodivergents to go all the way south or all the way north when the balance is in the middle at that 0 point. And once you can get the balance of this game, you will become the badass that you came here to be. And I fully believe that I'm going to become the badass that I came here to be. But the difficulty with it is it's not going to be easy, and you won't be able to take any of these trendy outs.
Okay, what I was saying before I got interrupted by guests was I saw this cornerstone. And it's funny because Yeshua referred to himself as the cornerstone, and he was referred to as the cornerstone by others. When you think about something being built and it has foundational pieces in it that have to be in place for the rest of the building to come to pass, divergents are cornerstones. We're foundational. We came to bring the power that upholds the entire structure. Somebody had to do it. Somebody had to pull those straws. And we were all communing this together before we decided to incarnate. We chose to, and that's why we're experiencing things the way that we are. So the cornerstone is no more valuable than the rest of the home, but the rest of the home cannot stand without it. The rest of the structure cannot stand without it. Somebody had to come to be the cornerstones.
These spiritual outs will not work for you. You cannot just spiritualize all of your physical discomforts away just by believing in who you are. Now, believe me, I know that having that does make a huge difference. It does, because I've experienced it. I've walked through it myself. But I know this is going to go against everybody's grains. I know it. I can feel it. But that's not enough for you if you're divergent. You can't just do that and have everything go hunky-dory. You also have to apply that hyper-focus after you've connected with it in the...
Because you see, we came to hold the experience. All those things are spiritual truths. I just experienced something in quantum physics this morning that completely backs up the fact that when you can access these places in your divinity through spiritual connection to that quantum 0 point level, you can literally create anything out of it. That's where everything is created from. This is the truth. I'm not negating that it isn't. But we came here to play a different part than to access that and just manifest something beautiful because we can. We came to experience the darker energies that are already co-created and integrate them to free the space for this beautiful truth to be accessible for the all. Does that make sense to you? It does to me. And if it doesn't to you, that's fine. I'm simply sharing it just because I felt moved to do so. So I'm going to continue the rest of this recording.
Inner, and you know the origin of its source in a very profound way, that's the very biggest half, I mean the heaviest half. They're both the same size, but the heaviest half of this is your divinity. Once you've anchored that in as an absolute truth, then you can use your hyper-focus on your life on the outside because you're already feeling it from the inside. Same thing as the analogy of the wave versus the ocean, which they are the same thing, but they individuate and become a different expression. You can, in the wave, you can goof around with it all you want. You can be a tall wave, you can be a short wave, you can be a short wave, a long wave, you could be, a crashing wave, a soft, gentle wave. There's all kinds of things you can do with the wave, right? Okay, so there's that. But the ocean stays the same. The ocean is the large, powerful body of water that powers the wave. So, in that being said, when you take the power from the ocean, you can do whatever you want with the wave. So what I'm saying is once you have the power of the ocean remembered in you, you can do whatever you want with the wave, great. But neurodivergents can't. We don't get to just go willy-nilly with the wave either. We also have to take very close, careful care of the wave as well. Because remember that you're more ocean than you are wave. There are so many waves that are just all, they're 75% wave and 25% ocean. And they're just willy-nilly. They can do all the fun stuff that's super easy. You didn't sign up to do that. And once again, I need to reiterate over and over while I'm making these videos, and this is just my notes, that this doesn't mean we're better than anyone else. We are not. We all have the same value. We just chose a different spot. Okay, let's say, Yeshua talked about the cornerstone all the time. The cornerstone, the cornerstone. Divergents are the cornerstones of the structure. Does it make the rest of the structure any less valuable? Hell no. We have to have the rest of the structure, otherwise there will not be a home. There will not be a building there for us to utilize, right? But you have to have cornerstones, you have to have anchors, you have to have a foundation. You've got to have the spots that hold most of the weight in order for the rest of it to come to.
Somebody has to experience and feel all of the discordant energies that are present already in order for true change to occur. Some part of divinity has to integrate those things back into home. And that's us. We came with this kind of fullness of our soul within this body, as much as we could cram into it without it exploding, in order to do that. And it's, once again, it's part of the story that's been written, and we just decided to sign up and play that part. We decided ahead of time.
Together. You just signed up to be a cornerstone, and believe me, you did. You chose this, so accept it. Embrace it in its fullness and its beauty. You chose this.
Yes.
You are a cornerstone if you're divergent. You chose to cram so much soul into this body that there wouldn't be much wiggle room for anything else. So that, moving forward, I'm just going to continue to share things that will assist you. You see so many.
Okay, so that's it for the recording. Let me put my earpiece back in. I don't know if anybody has any questions or anything that they'd like to say. I don't have anything else to share at this point. That was pretty much it. And like I said, from now on, I'm not going to make recordings. I'm just going to get on here and either go live without any hi, Miss Lisa, good to see you. And to go live without any, advanced warning, or I'm just going to make a pre-recording and then schedule a live with the recording, because I'm finding that in this now moment, if I don't share what's been put on my heart to share, which not most things aren't, there are so many things that are just simply for my own journey. But if it's put out there for me to share it in order to help all the other cornerstones, the other divergents, the other Avengers, the other dessert dishes in this world, to encourage them, because we signed up to do this, my loves. And it isn't the same as the bulk of the rest of the spiritual community. And that's okay. We can't do what they do because it won't work. So, of course, I've covered all that already. So if you're just coming in now, like my beautiful sister Lisa coming in, that's fine. Just if anybody has anything they'd like to ask or any questions or anything, I'm more than happy. It's been an hour and a half. It's a perfect time to answer anything, or if any of this is confusing or whatever, whichever way it goes down for you. All I know is that, and after today's confirmations in my heart and in the ether, and I'm telling you, I had 3, I need to take some time because I'm very mind blown by who and what was confirmed today for me. And it ties into all of this as well. So I trust that this is 100% the truth for myself. I can hold it like it's absolutely 100% truth. Of course, even if there's just a little tiny bit of it that resonates with you, great, that's wonderful, perfect. If none of it resonates with you, that's fine too. You're very welcome. I'm happy to share. I'm happy to be completely transparent and naked, because I literally have, and I'm grateful, even though it's really scary sometimes. But remembering this, and thank you, beautiful sister, Emerald Sage on TikTok, for reminding me that this is the truth. It really helps, because it's both and you and I as divergents really have to embrace the both and. Because I was shown this morning very clearly that we are fully capable of changing everything in the outer around us to be exactly what we want it to be. That power is present to all of us at all times. That truth doesn't get negated by the fact that we don't get to do that, because we signed up not to do that. We signed up to integrate and alchemize and accept and reintegrate into Holy Self, the One, the All, the Royal We, all the discordant created energies that are already created. If they've been created, they are in existence, and they need to be felt and not rejected, but accepted and loved and called back home, so that the Holy One is truly holy. And then this conscious ascension that's occurring will happen in its fullness and its wholeness as we do our jobs that we signed up to do, which are not like everyone else. And I know that puts the panties in a bunch for a lot of people. And I really wanted to be able to just pull into the quantum field and fix everything. Okay, Mr. Yeah, okay, so yeah, see? That right there, COPD is it's something that I may be facing in the future too. I have no idea if I'm going to be able to spiritually be able to remove that from my life or not, but I've never smoked. I've never done anything like that. I've never done anything that concerns my lungs, like a job where it was around chemicals or anything. But I was raised by 2 heavy smokers and apparently born with lungs that weren't the greatest to start with. And I've actually, I was diagnosed with COPD many years ago. I did a lot of physical things to assist myself, and I'm no longer in that category, but my lungs are still at risk. In my human body, my lungs are something that's just taken a hit. So we as divergents will have remember, we're going to have physical struggles, because we've crammed so much of our soul aspects. And as opposed to the average incarnator who has their spark within them to coalesce their life and to do what they do to came here. They've got all this wiggle room. CODP, oh yeah, we'll just do this and that and that, and they can totally manipulate that and move around. And guess why they can? Because the Avengers are here. Because we're alchemizing all that co-created discordant energy back into its holy self by experiencing it. It is the only way in this story. Somebody had to do it. We signed up to do it. I say we very lightly because all I know is for me. I know that's what I came here for. And now it makes total and full sense why my body seems to be just letting me down all the time and why I experience so many physical ailments and so many things come at me, even though I am the light of the world, as are you. I am divinity in its fullness, as are you. But we showed up in these aspects in the level of soul power that we did in order to alchemize so that the entire thing would move accordingly and become elevated. And that's because we are love and we are so loved. And we brought a large portion of that frequency here in order to alchemize it. And we don't get to take part in that part. Now, I do believe that maybe towards the end of this story, in physicality, we may experience some beautiful, miraculous things that relieve us of the things that we've endured. As we integrate them into Holy Self, I believe that we will start to release it even in our own bodies. So these things that have affected us due to our divergent, being, the fact that we are Avengers, that we are in that different space of alchemizers, as we alchemize, get on board and do the job you came to do, because the more we do it, not only does it free it up for everyone else, but I believe we are going to get caught up in that too as well. It's just that we have to be the bulk of the holders to start with. We're the starters, we're the forerunners. But believe me, it is the truth. It is the truth. And as soon as we get all of that discordant energy integrated back into Holy Self, the anxiety, love it, welcome it. When I am experiencing anxiety now, like I did when I was 14, that I used coping mechanisms all up until this very now moment, I don't use anything as a coping mechanism. I do not use food. I don't use chemicals. I'm not using anything to cope with it. I just embrace it. I see it and I feel it, and I ask it actually to come in its fullness. Give me all you got. Hit me with the full power of this panic attack. Come to me, because I love you and I see you. And I am giving you a space to be felt. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to feel you. And I'm not going to try to negate it. I'm not going to medicate myself. I'm not going to eat food. I'm not going to do anything to try to resist this. I'm not only not going to resist you, I'm going to embrace you. And I find every time I do this, not only do I get flooded with the most beautiful peace and incredible stillness within my entire being, including my body, but I can feel the level of alchemy that it is. It's a very high level. It is for multitudes that it is happening. And I believe that being the cornerstones, once we get this ball rolling and we accept these things instead of trying to resist them, fully embrace your physical discomfort. Everything that you are experiencing, embrace it. Love it. Give it a home. Even if that means you give up the body doing it. If it takes your death to do that, does that really matter? It's like changing a shirt. Yeshua understood this, and he demonstrated that in fullness by giving up the body to prove it. He has assured me many times that we don't have to do that. No longer is there a necessary reason to give up the body. So I believe that we will also be resurrected, if you will, by our own doings, but it's not going to happen yet. And it won't happen by you trying to find spiritualized ways to get away from what you're suffering through. Embrace it. Give it a home. Let it come back into Holy Self with your divine response, and watch it alchemize. And then not only will it leave you, but it will leave the collective as well. Not an easy job. It's not for the faint of heart. We are serious badasses, those of us who have decided to take this on. I'm going to keep doing things as they come that will help you in your day-to-day, just dealing with this. But the biggest thing is that you've got to take care of your body. You've got to have time alone. You cannot allow outside energies to constantly bombard you while you're holding this much power and ability to alchemize. You must spend time alone. You must re-energize yourself. Most divergents are introverts anyway. We like our time alone. And if we're no longer masking anymore, we realize that that time is precious and beautiful. I spend 5 days out of the week completely by myself. And then I go out a couple of days and I engage in social activity because I love it. I love people. But my energetic expression only has so much. Remember, this guy can do this all day, all week long. Me, I've only got, what, let me look at my jar here. Where's the little, oh, there's a little space right there. Do you see it? I got that little space right there for some socialization. And I can fill it up. But once it's full, I've got to decompress again. And what you eat, what you do, and no more resisting what's happening. For me, I feel so many different energies moving through me, and you're like a filter. You are a filter that catches everything and receives it and experiences it, but doesn't resist it. The big key and the answer to this is not resisting it. Believe me, I have been resisting all this time, using substances to not feel what I was experiencing, because experiencing this world is so freaking hard. Being hypersensitive, hyper-focused, divergent as I am, and being a young one who didn't understand what I was here for or why I was doing it, I just tried to find everything I could to cope. And it's been many things like you all can resonate with. So many things to try to cope. Those things are no longer present as we become aware of who we are. We have to put those coping mechanisms down and open up our sacred heart center and say, come, bring it in. And it is not comfortable at all. I'm an extrovert, but I do spend time alone when I can. I was a masked extrovert. I masked myself as being an extrovert. That was one of my coping mechanisms, which I've unloaded that one too. The last one to go was the eating disorder, and I've changed, that whole thing has been changed. I no longer use that as a mask, but I also used to do that. I pretended to be an extrovert because it drew the attention away from this neurodivergent weirdo that I really was on the inside, and everybody only paid attention to Shannon the extrovert. And I was very good at it, but I was constantly depleted and exhausted, and I couldn't do what I came here to do. No worries, you don't have to be concerned about it. Spirit will lead you down the journeys that need to be led in order to get you in the place you should be. Hopefully just some of this information has helped to support you and let you know that you're loved. I just love being alone now. And I'm very careful. And I wasn't careful with the boundaries, especially when it comes to tight, close, intimate friendships and romantic relationships. I would just allow whatever, because of my belief and my big heart and my empathy, I would allow whatever energies to come in and take up residence in my heart that availed themselves. And now I understand that I can't do that. Yeshua was not close to very many people. And there was a reason for that. He understood what it meant to be a badass. He knew what he had to do with himself. And he was different. He wasn't like everybody else. The status quo was doing something else. And we're now in this spiritual, trendy version of the status quo. And it's doing something else. And I'm here to tell you that I've walked through them all. And believe me, I've walked through them with all of my belief. And I'm telling you, you don't get any more powerful belief than what I have. Because I still believe in silly things like, fairies and Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. And I mean, I joke around and everybody gets a laugh out of it, but I'm not kidding. The level of belief I threw into all these trendy spiritual things, if it was meant for us, it would have worked. And I was disillusioned and disheartened and disappointed for a long time, thinking, what am I doing wrong? Oh, sweethearts and beloveds, you're doing nothing wrong if you're suffering. And you relate to this divergent Avenger dessert dish story that I'm telling. You're doing nothing wrong. The only thing that we have to change now is to get rid of resistance and actually embrace all this garbage so that it has a place to go to become ungarbage, if you will. So that being said, I've been doing this for about an hour and 40 minutes, and I feel like guests are going to be coming. It's Saturday night, and I'm going to get interrupted anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and close this down. Yes, it's understandable. Those are the circumstances of your life. If you have to, see, you said the word have to too. So once again, if that feels like it's taking too much from you, if you're bearing the burden of that, sit down, go into the ether, talk to your beloved, and ask, is there anything that I'm missing? Is there something that maybe I need to change to be what I came here to be? Because you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. We think there's a lot of things we have to do, but we literally don't have to do anything. I've lost everything and everyone a couple times over. And I can tell you right now, I sit in a level of fullness that by far supersedes any of those things that went to the wayside because of the path that I've been on. There's nothing you have to do. So if you're finding that what you are doing is draining you and not preparing you for the badass divergent that you came here to be, sit down and go within and talk to your beloved. See, that's another thing too. You have 2 little kids. That's completely understandable. I get that. I have 1 little kid. Well, he's not so little anymore. He's going to be 12 on his next birthday. But he was removed out of the equation for my story. And I am in acceptance of that. It wouldn't be something that I chose, but that's what occurred. So you have those things within you that you can do that. Your children, if you do have 2 little kids, are a part of this package, or you wouldn't have that connection in your life right now. So they're a part of your divergent badassery. Find out what that means for you. Everybody's path is unto their own. The only answers that will do you any good is the ones that are within. And I have conversations in the ether with my beloved, and I just call this energy my beloved. It simplifies it. It embodies many things and nothing at the same time. But if you go within that space, you will receive answers, because the energy right now is just ready to load that stuff up on anybody who's in a non-resistant acceptance space. I hear you and I feel you. These are the things that are occurring. And I know that, once again, the only thing I can tell you if you are facing these circumstances like that is to go within, because the clarity for what your next steps to be will come to you. Yes, that's your choice, and you know your story. And the thing is that even if we choose to do things that are no longer serving us because we believe we're supposed to do them, that's still the right choice. There's no wrong and there's no right. The only thing I can ever tell anyone is to spend more time in here, inside, connected to everything that's in the outer is here. It only becomes into the outer because it originated here. So all the answers to your circumstances are right here. I love you very much. Anybody who has joined me or will join me, thank you. I'm grateful for you. I love you. If this affected no one in the 3D outer, 4D outer, 5D outer, so be it. It doesn't matter, because this is an ethereal movement for me to share this energetically. So I love you all very much, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you. And I know that energetically this is going places that I can't even fathom. Have a wonderful night, and I will come back if I'm so moved to do so.